AMD recently announced the new Ryzen 6000 series mobile processors, and what we have today here is a laptop that is equipped with the new Ryzen 7 6800U. So in today's video, we're going to go through the new Ryzen 6000 series mobile processors in general and then test the performance of the new chip. Let's begin. The new Ryzen 6000 series mobile processors are based on AMD's Zen 3 Plus architecture, and it is fabricated using TSMC's 6nm process technology. The Ryzen 6000 series splits into three different series. We have the high performance H series, which goes up to 45 watts of power, and this series also includes the HX variants that can go beyond 45 watts of power. And then we have the HS series, which is a step down in terms of TDP, down to only 35 watts. But the core specs of the H and HS series remains the same, it's only the TDP that differs. In turn, the TDP will dictate how much the processor can boost in terms of performance, corresponding to the laptop's design. A leaner laptop like the ROG Zephyrus G14 will be more suitable for the HS series of chips, but the H series will be perfect for those bulkier laptops like the ROG Strix-Scar series of laptops that can fit in a larger cooler. Moving down in terms of TGP, we have the U series, and there are only two variants available in this family. It's either the Ryzen 5 6600U or the Ryzen 7 6800U. Both of them are rated for 15 to 28 watts of power. One thing I truly appreciate that AMD is doing is to keep everything as simple as possible, and the number of variants available is as low as possible. This is something that cannot be said about Blue Team though. With that out of the way, let's proceed with the performance test. We have the Asus ZenBook S13 OLED UM5402 with us, and it is equipped with the Ryzen 7 6800U with 16 gigs of LPDDR5 RAM at 6400MHz. And before we proceed to do any tests, we'll have to toggle the power profile to performance by hitting Fn and F key together. And here are some screenshots of synthetic benchmarks that we've done. In general, the CPU performance isn't as good as the Intel Core i7 1260p, but that's okay because anything related to GPU is magnificent on the Ryzen 7 6800U. This laptop also has an OLED screen with a high resolution of 2880 by 1800 pixels, and that is 2.5 times more pixels than the standard 1080p. Yet in Genshin Impact at the lowest graphical settings, it can maintain 60 FPS for most of the time, and I'm impressed honestly. I even changed the render resolution from the default 0.8 to 1.0, and the frame rate instantly dipped to about 40-ish FPS, but I still think it's fantastic in terms of performance. But I'll keep the render resolution at 0.8 since I can't really see the difference anyway. As for GTA 5, at the lowest graphical settings, it is very smooth and we can maintain above 30 FPS at all times. It never stuttered, and the entire experience was just magnificent to the point where I drove around just enjoying the view in GTA 5 as well. And then comes the big daddy, Halo Infinite. I tried playing this game on the Intel Iris Xe, and it failed to run this game because the frame rate is always below 30 FPS the entire time, and it was stuttery, so it was technically unplayable on the Iris Xe. However, on the Ryzen 7 6800U, the Radeon 680M integrated GPU can churn out more than 30 FPS at all times, yet it never stuttered. This is the best gaming experience I've gotten from a thin and light laptop so far, and I've tried playing on battery too. Turns out there's no performance dip while playing out on battery, and the performance remains the same, above 30 FPS at all times. As for temperature though, it's no surprise that it can hit 85 degrees Celsius at most. It's still within the safety limits, and I'm surprised that AMD didn't allow the chip to boost up further, like maybe let's say 90 degrees or 95 degrees Celsius. I mean, they have the headroom to do so, they just didn't utilize it. And so that's our performance test of the latest AMD Ryzen 7 6800U. I'm truly impressed by the performance that it's able to provide even on battery. And yeah, if you have any questions, do leave them down in the comment section below. And if you want to know more about this laptop in particular, do watch our review, which is linked down in the description below or somewhere around this screen here. I'll see you there, so goodbye.